Hi, my name's Toby Joplin. Today it's my privilege to talk to you about something that we call the Cowboy Code. Now, you may never have heard of the Cowboy Code, but you've experienced it because you're a student at Oklahoma State University. Like you, I was also a student at Oklahoma State University. I have 3 degrees from OSU. My wife attended OSU and we got engaged there almost 40 years ago. Both of my grown children graduated from OSU, but we aren't here to talk about me. We're here to talk about a code, the Cowboy Code. As I said, you may not have heard of the Cowboy Code, but you've experienced it. The Cowboy Code is simply a list of values that OSU students and alumni strive to uphold. You see these values exhibited every day when you pass faculty and staff and your fellow students on campus. And if you walk past the east side of the Student Union over towards the Atherton Hotel, you've seen some of these values inscribed on the columns in the Welcome Plaza. A few years ago, I ran across a book called Cowboy Ethics by an author named James P. Owen. I had the honor of meeting Mr. Owen. He autographed my copy of the book. And in his book, Jim talks about some pretty important things. See if I can share those with you here. Things like living our lives with courage. You know that life can be stinking hard, but at one time or another, we all have to saddle up anyway, as John Wayne said. Owen also reminds us of the importance of taking pride in our work. He admonishes us to finish what we start and to do what needs to be done. Owen tells us that we should be tough but fair. Tough but fair. You know, the people who have had the biggest impact on my life were the ones who were tough on me. They're the people who held me to a higher standard. Jim reminds us that when we make a promise, we should keep it. I've never really understood why in recruiting college athletes that a letter of intent is binding, but an athlete's commitment is not binding. I can promise you that if I tell you I'm going to do something, I will either do it or you'll receive notice that I died trying. Because I believe that the values in this code are important. They're not just words in a book or on a wall. Owen tells us that we ride for the brand. Ride for the brand. What the heck does that mean? It means the way that you, the way that I, the way that each of us as cowboys and cowgirls live our lives reflects on OSU. Whatever you do, you are either enriching OSU's brand or you're detracting from it. And Jim encourages us to talk less and say more. And in this day and age, that includes our comments on social media. Our words can be very powerful. They can be uplifting or destructive. We should pick our words very wisely. Owen says that we should remember that some things aren't for sale. How much money would it take for you to tarnish your reputation? We hear in the news and on social media every day of someone who's traded their good name for a few pieces of silver. And finally, Jim tells us to know where to draw the line. You know that sometimes a little of something can be okay, but too much can be tragic. There's a lot to be said for moderation and balance in our lives. I hope that you'll remember Jim's advice. You can find his book at Cowboy Ethics at your favorite bookseller, or you can simply stroll through the Welcome Plaza on the east side of the Student Union to remind yourself of these values. Values like having a passion to do what's right, even when it's hard, and maybe especially when it's hard. I hope that you'll dream as big as the sky over the Oklahoma prairie, especially when you get knocked down. And you know something? We all get knocked to our knees once in a while. Remember that challenges come with pain, but that pain will not win. I hope that you'll stand for what matters, even if nobody else stands with you, because sometimes each of us has to stand alone. Finish what you start. You know, if you're normal, before you finish your degree, you're going to be tempted to quit. Don't quit. Just don't quit. And if you do these things, at the end of the day, then you can still feel good about yourself, regardless of the outcome, because you gave it everything that you had. Because although it can be fun to wear our boots and our hats and to embrace the caricature of being a cowboy, it's much more important to display the character of a cowboy. You know, cowboys come from all ethnicities. They come from all 50 states and over 100 different countries. Cowgirls may speak English, but many cowgirls' first language is Spanish or French or Mandarin or Russian or Portuguese. A lot of cowboys do wear hats and boots, but many others wear the clothing of their native countries, and they're no less cowboy. You know, the Cowboy Code is not just some words in Jim's book. They're not just the words engraved in the columns on the Welcome Plaza. We live this code. We are this code. Let me ask you something. Are you really a cowboy or cowgirl? Do you live your life aspiring to these values, or are you just dressed up in a cowboy outfit for Halloween? The answer to that question matters because every day for the rest of your life, you are riding for the brand. Thank you for letting me share my thoughts with you. Until next time, ride with pride.